Welcome to Tatas and Tea. I'm Alexa,
I'm Amanda.
and this. What the hell was I going to say? All right, cut.
Tatas and Tea.
This week's topic actually comes from one of our listeners, our top listeners, Mia. And Mia wants to know, how do we know if somebody's into us?
And I think it's a perfect topic because I am going through something relatable to this topic, and this is my friend. So maybe we'll figure it all out together if these people are into us. And then we can use our past experience. So
Well, I don't know. Just like in general, like being a lesbian is kind of hard because you don't know if somebody is straight, gay, not, who knows? Like, you just don't know. Like, just because somebody's wearing a thumb ring doesn't mean you're a lesbian. Or somebody has their hand in their pocket. Definitely not a lesbian.
my favorite game on cruises is Mom or Lesbian because and like when I'm in the city, it's hipster or lesbian because they dress so
True,
similarly.
that's true. Yeah.
So it's hard to tell.
Yeah, like it's very hard to tell. But like, I feel like a lot of lesbians like go on dating apps
Yeah.
and try to find people, or go and find like groups like online, like on social media, and like have meetups and stuff.
Right. But even then, it's so hard. I went to speed dating once at a gay bar, and then afterwards, we all stayed. And we're at a gay bar, and all these other people came that weren't part of the speed dating. It's like, are they gay? Are they straight? We don't know.
Even though you're at a
Even
gay
though-
bar,
yeah.
it's like it is hard. And sometimes my straight from friends come to like the gay bar, so like
I am the
know.
queen of hitting on straight people. It is apparently my type because every time I go to the bar, I hit on a girl and she's like, "Oh, I'm here with my boyfriend," or "Oh, I'm straight," and I'm just like, oh, "Damn."
and you need like a good friend who's with you, like who doesn't care. Like, I don't mind. Like, if you were, I remember like the one time I was like, "Are you into her?" Because I'll go ask. Like, like, are you available? Are you gay? Like, I really don't care. Like, I'll talk to whoever
Right.
just to see, because like, what if you're like, "Oh, I'm really into her the whole night," and then like it happens like she's with somebody else or she's straight or
Been
whatever. Yeah, like, so it's better to know right away.
Yeah, and even if you know they're a lesbian, it's still hard because it's like, are we flirting or are we just friendly or are you
Am
just
I their type?
Yeah, am I your type? Like,
Yeah.
I was into someone who was like, "Oh, I don't like femmes," and I was like, "Well, that's whatever that's gonna be." I was like, "There go my chances,"
Yeah,
but
right.
all right.
Yeah.
But it's also hard, and it's also like, is someone flirting because they're into you, or is someone flirting because that's who they are as a person, or are they flirting because they just like attention?
Yeah, I mean, we know.
I mean, sometimes it's all of the above, and it's hard
Yeah.
to. I actually have a friend I met recently, and there's this guy that is into her, and he thought that she was into him. And so they had a little miscommunication where they thought they were hanging out as like a date, but they had to like clarify that it wasn't a date. She was like, I feel bad because I was definitely flirting with him. But she's like, that's just who I am as a person. I'm just a very flirty person. And so sometimes it gives people the wrong idea. That's where it's also confusing is, are you flirting with me
Right.
because you're into me, or is that just who you are?
Right. Yeah, you don't know.
No.
So it is pretty tricky.
And it's also confusing. So I have another friend who recently met this girl. They met at a party and it was super platonic, only talking as friends. And 1 minute they're talking as friends, and the next minute they're hooking up in the bathroom. And I asked her, and I was like, because we were talking and she was like, I don't know if she's into me. And I'm like, well, let me ask you, how did you go from talking platonically to hooking up in the bathroom? She was like, that's what I want to know. Like, what's going on? And they've been talking still, and it's still very platonic. But she then drove her home a couple weeks later after hanging out. And the girl was like, oh, is it okay if I kiss you? And my friend is so confused because it's not flirty. It's so platonic. But then they're hooking up and kissing.
And then they slept together too, right?
Yeah, and they slept together. And
Yeah.
she was like, are you weeding me out as a friend? Like, what's going on? And I'm like, I feel that in my soul.
Yeah.
Like, it's so hard to tell when someone's into you. I actually have someone who's been like super flirty with me recently and very touchy feely. And like, we have this group of friends, and she's part of the group of friends. just like the way she interacts with me, I get a vibe from her. But she said something about being straight, and I'm like, but I'm like, maybe she's questioning and maybe she is flirting. And then it also is like, if that's the case, right? Maybe she's curious as a straight girl and she's like trying to feel it out. But then it's also like, well, if that's what the situation is, do you like me or am I just a safe person for you to experiment with because you know I like women?
Mm-hmm.
So it is rough in these
Yeah,
streets.
it's definitely.
So how do you know? I don't know. That is a Mia, that is the $1 million question. I wish we had an answer, but we'll try and figure it out. I mean, I feel like if people are flirty, one would think if someone's like kissing you, they would be into you.
But you never know.
I mean, you're married. How'd you know Christina was into you, or did you know?
Well, I didn't.
Exactly.
So I broke up with my one ex, and I was wondering if she was on like dating apps. Like, I think I downloaded POF and was trying to find her. And I kept going on, and I think back then, whatever, it was like ultra matches kept coming up. And Christina was the number one ultra match for like me. So every day I went on to try to find my ex. I think I found her. And I was like, oh, of course she's on. And she probably saw I was on. She's like, oh, that bitch is on too. But I was just on to see if she was because I wanted to get back with her. Dumb. But I messaged Christina. I was like, oh, I see like we have a lot in common. Like, just like, hey. And she's like, oh, I know who you are. And I'm like, oh, God. I'm like, what? I'm like, how does she know me? Because I cannot think of how, like, she doesn't look familiar. I don't know. Like, I have no clue. And she's like, oh, we dated the same person at the same time.
Oh my God, at the same time?
And this person would nonstop talk about me to her.
What? But you didn't know about Christina.
I had no idea. And me and this girl played on the same softball team. So Christina would come and like watch her play, and I was there. And she's like, oh, I hate this bitch. And I'm like, damn, but I never saw her or recognized her. I don't know. It was weird. I was like, oh, wow, it's like such a small world. That's really weird. So we just like connected on that, and we were talking, and Christina's like, oh, what are you looking for? And I was like, honestly, I want to get back with my ex, and I wanted to see if she was on, like, looking like to date. And Christina's like, oh, who's your ex? And I told her, and she goes, no way. I was just talking to her for a week. And all she was doing was talking shit about her ex, which is you. And I'm like, of course.
Oh my God.
And she would like tell me like what she said. And I was like, wow. I'm like, so like we were talking about like that a little bit. And then we just started talking like every day. It was like a thing. Like it was through POF. And then like it got annoying. And then one of us, I wish I could go back, I don't know, was like, oh, like, here's my number. And we would text. And I remember at work texting her and stuff. And like you just like look forward to that. And then like it kind of became flirty, I guess. But like I didn't think she was into me because of everything. Like I'm looking for my ex, like this and that.
I'm looking for my ex.
We dated the same person.
Yeah. And like also here's your ex talking all this shit to Christina. Exactly. Lord knows what she was saying. Like.
Right. So like we just continued talking. And then it was one night I went out and Christina was like, oh, how was your night? And I literally didn't say anything. I sent her a picture of me in like drunk. I fell into a bush and I had like red sauce all over my face. This is like the most epic picture. And I sent her that picture and she was like, not to be rude, but what's all over your face? Not like, why are you in a bush? Like what the hell? And I was like, all right, she's still into me, I guess. And she's still talking to me after that. Like, I literally gave her every red flag you could possibly think of. And she still, like, kept talking to me.
But did you know she was into you this whole time or no?
We were, like, flirting at that point.
Okay.
And we didn't meet yet. Like, we just kept talking and talking. And then I guess after the sauce picture, that's when she really wanted to meet me in person.
Oh, my God.
So she came. I was coaching tennis. And she came to one of the matches. And then after that, like, we started, like, dating and, you know, then eventually got married.
And have a kid. And
right, have a kid.
Pretty soon another one. Were you into Christina at this point?
At first, I wasn't because I wasn't looking for anyone.
Right.
But then once we started talking and then, like, got each other's numbers and, like, we're texting every day, like, it became flirty. But it didn't start off like that. And then, like, when we met in person, like, it changed because then, like, we really, like, had, like, a connection, you know? Right. And then we started hanging out and going on dates. And she watched me play volleyball. then she ended up joining the team.
There you go.
And yeah, and then that was it.
At what point did you know she was into you?
Well, like when we were like texting,
Like
then
flirting?
like we were flirting,
Okay.
and like I think we would talk.
Was
on
it
the
not
phone.
flirty before that?
No, because it was just like, wow, we have all this in common,
Okay.
and wow, like that's crazy. What a small world. And then we would start talking about like, oh, what do you do, and what do you like? What do you like to do? What are your hobbies,
Right.
and this and that. And then like, then it would be like, oh, I would tell her like how my day was, or she would tell me how hers was, and then it started talking like a normal like relationship would.
Okay.
Like it just happened without us wanting it to happen. Well, that without me wanting it to happen, at least, because I was like focused on my ex.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, I want to get back with her.
Red flag.
And I told Christina that too. That was the best part. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, it was hard to tell who was into who because it wasn't like we were trying to get with each other.
Right.
And it just happened. I feel like things that happen like that are better than not forcing it, but like,
It's so hard to tell if someone's into you. And it's also, I'm trying to think of like what I do when I'm into someone. Like, I don't know if there's any, like, I definitely am super flirty and a little bit more touchy, but I'm also very blunt. So for the most part, like if I'm into someone, like I remember I met someone at a bar recently and we were talking and I was like intrigued by her. And I was just kind of like, I kind of want to get to know her a little bit better. So I just literally went up to her and I was like, hey, like, I think you're really cool and I'm attracted to you and I want to get to know you better. You know, if you're interested, like, can I get your number? And if not, like, we can just be friends and whatever. That's okay too. And then I got her number and I got to know her a little better. And I was like, oh, I'm actually not that into it. I think like we hung out one time after that. And I was like, no, I'm not into it. But like, I'm very blunt about like liking someone or being interested in them because life's like, what's the worst that happens if you put yourself out there?
Well, you know, it's really funny. This is just going through my head, but Mia's friend, Laura. So years ago, Laura messaged me on Facebook and was like, hey, this is really random, but my friend Emily is interested in you if you're interested in her. And I'm like, yeah, why not? Like, and I started, like, that's how we started dating. So it's like mutual friends, like setting other people up, like, you know, like that's happened too. Like, that's how I knew that she was into me. I didn't even know who she was.
Yeah. So mutual friends, just being blunt. Yeah, I actually have a friend who, when I first met her, I was like, oh, she's kind of cute. I could be interested. But, you know, I just don't think it was like necessarily a romantic match. So we became friends. But yeah, we'll hang out and it's like super flirty. And I'm like, what's going on? And then sometimes we'll make out. And I'm like, are we just like making out as friends? Like, probably. I guess some people just make out with their friends. Like, I've had friends I've just made out with, but not very often. So it's confusing. Right. And then I guess that's confusing, right? So say one of the friends I made out with that I wasn't interested in, maybe they're like interested in me and
you're doing the same
and I'm doing the same thing. Yeah. So I gotta stop making out with my friends. I think that's the solution there. Although maybe I don't want to stop making out with some of them because maybe I deep down you know, and that's why
keep your options open.
Exactly. It's confusing. Mia, I wish we could give you an answer because, but it's rough. And I would say like meeting someone on a dating app would be like a tell that someone's into you, but that doesn't necessarily mean anything.
Dating apps like are so different nowadays too. Like
horrible.
It's just like hooking up and you don't know if people are dating other people and doing it like on the side, like being sneaky.
My ex was sneaky. She was on a dating app. That's how she met the person she had an affair with. Like,
yeah, you never know. Personally, I would have wanted to meet somebody in person.
I do too.
Like, it's very hard, but it didn't happen that way. But a lot of people try to go to like a gay bar and meet somebody, but there's not many options.
There's not many gay bars. And then when you do go to the gay bars, it's a lot of straight people there. And it makes it very difficult because it's never fair to assume, right? But like one would assume if you're at a gay bar, you're a gay person, and that is in fact not the case. And so it makes meeting in person or in the wild, as I like to say, harder. And dating apps are also just as hard because you can't tell a lot about someone from their photos. Like, and a lot of people filter their photos and it's just so fake. I actually had a friend tell me once that like the reason I wasn't getting as many matches as I could, aka I was getting 0. The reason I wasn't But the reason I wasn't really getting any matches is because I didn't filter my photos. And I was like, what? And I looked at her
Because
profile.
you didn't?
Because I
Oh, I
didn't.
thought they were going to say opposite.
No, I don't filter any of my photos.
Yeah.
It's just sometimes I'll change, like, if it's too dark of a photo, I'll make it brighter. But I'm not putting on, like,
The like
the
beauty
the
filters,
beauty filters or
and
anything like that.
whatever.
Yeah. And then I looked at my friend's like profile and it was all filters. And I was like, what the heck? And then my other friend who gets a ton of matches, I looked at her profile and it was all filters. And she does not look like that in real life.
Right.
And to me, that's a little catfishy.
I was going to just say that. That's like a catfish.
It's a little catfishy because you
Yeah.
don't look like that. And my one friend explained it to me. She was like, well, you need to filter your photos because that's what's going to get you the matches and get you talking to people. And then they get to know you. So this way, like, they start to like you and then they meet you in real life.
I get that.
And I'm like,
but
no,
that's like not how
no.
I'd want to meet someone.
That's not how,
Yeah.
that's so fake and
Yeah.
so, like,
it's like a
red flag.
tactic. Like,
Yeah.
like, wow, I'm going to.
Sneaky.
Yeah. Like, and people are going to get the wrong impression of you.
Right.
What's funny, thinking about catfish, so Emily, the one Laura set me up with, after we broke up, Emily reached out to me and was like, you're never going to believe this. She was on a dating app and she was talking to somebody and they were whatever. It was like a normal person and they were using like a younger person's pictures. It was my ex
Oh my God.
who catfished to like get with Emily,
Stop it.
who was like older. So she catfished Emily to get like back at me type of thing. Like, oh, like I'm talking to your ex. Like, I don't know, it was something so strange. And Emily was like, I can't believe she did this to me. Like, I was into this girl.
Terrible.
We talked for a while and she wouldn't talk on the phone, obviously, because she has an old ass lady voice. Didn't match the pictures.
Oh my God.
And then eventually she called Emily and like that's like the voicemail Emily sent me.
That's crazy.
And I'm like, wow, I'm like, my exes are catfishing my exes
That's
to
wild.
get back at me.
That's
Or,
so
like,
stupid.
Like,
But this is why you can't trust dating
people are
apps.
not, I know, that's
people are
also
nuts.
like, I'd rather meet someone like in the wild.
Yeah, and it's just like easier to meet someone in the
Yeah.
wild, and it's just so different. I remember one time I was at Georgie's and I saw this girl at Georgie's and I recognized her from the dating apps, and on the dating apps I swiped no because I just didn't feel like we would vibe. And then I talked to her in real life and I was like, oh, she's actually really cool. Like if I had just met her out in the wild, forget the dating apps, I would probably be, I mean, I wasn't like super into it, but I was more into it than I was just on a dating app. And it's like, for me especially, like, looks, obviously you have to be attracted to someone, but for me it's like a personality that makes or breaks it. Like, you could be the most attractive person. If your personality is shit, I think you're ugly.
Right. Yeah.
And so I think that's what it was with this person, is she had a really good personality, but based on her profile, it was like, you know, so it's just so hard to tell on dating
Christina
apps.
thought that I was a catfish because I had like 2 pictures maybe and like no description because I was just going on to find my
Right.
ex. Like I didn't care like what people thought of me because I wasn't looking for anyone. And Christina swore I was a catfish, but she knew who I was from our mutual person we dated. And she's like, yeah, you look like a total catfish. And then some of her pictures were filtered, but not like filtered like that. It was like, and one of them was filtered. And I'm like, you're a catfish too. You filtered a picture.
Valid.
So, yeah, it was like funny. But she's like, yeah, you literally had no info like at all.
That's
like,
a red
if
flag.
anyone saw my account like profile, they'd be like, swipe whatever way it is.
Yeah.
Is it left, right?
Left.
Left. Like,
Yeah.
no, like she's definitely a catfish.
Yeah, I have certain rules too for dating apps. Like, if you have less than 3 photos, it's a left.
That was me.
So you would be a left.
No
'Cause-
info, no bio.
Yeah, no, and it's not even just like that. They could be a catfish. It's that, like,
they're not putting effort in.
right,
Like me.
exactly, exactly. And if you're not going to put effort into like this simple like bio,
Right.
are you going to put effort into a relationship if that's what you're looking for? Which is also
Yeah.
kind of why I delete the dating apps, because like it's like so much work to, like, I just don't have the energy to like market myself, because that's what
I
you're
was
doing.
gonna say that. I was like, her profile's like, oh, you're perfect, you have a great job, this and that. But like, when you meet the person,
Yeah,
they're nothing like that in real life. So it's hard to go based off of a profile like that. you know.
It's all fake. It's just like social media is fake. And if you meet someone in person, you can like see the red flags right away, which I appreciate because
You appreciate. We love red flags.
we love red flags. Yeah.
The more the better.
The more the merrier. I wish there were some signs.
Mm-hmm.
Like sometimes for me, the reason I think people are into me is because there's just like this look that I can't explain. Like it's like a look someone gives you when they're like into you. But sometimes I'm like, am I making it up?
Yeah, like
I
you
don't
don't know.
Yeah.
You like second guess yourself
Yeah.
and you overthink it.
So I guess some signs I would say to see if someone's into you.
Good eye contact.
Eye contact.
Not just regular eye contact, like a certain look.
It's like a spark.
Yeah.
If they're like flirty or maybe a little bit touchy than they are with like other people. If they ask you questions, like if they want to get to know you and get to know things about you, that's a big one.
If they ask for your number.
If they tell you they're into you.
Right.
But if you like someone and you're not sure, I think the best way to handle it is to just say, hey, I want to get to know you better. And then go from there. I
Get
think
a
that's
good wingman.
Yes, get a good wing person,
Like,
yeah.
Just to see.
Yeah.
You never know. Or if you have mutual like friends that could hook you up, that's always like a good safe bet.
It's a good question though, but
Yeah.
I don't think we'll ever have an answer. I think it's just like a vibe you have to go with, and everyone's different and people flirt. Some people like are really nice flirts. Some people are mean flirts. So that's how they flirt with people is that they'll be like a little bit mean. People have such different flirting styles, and that's what also makes it difficult. So hopefully this was helpful. Probably not.
Probably not at all.
But we don't have an answer. But if anyone has an answer, I think the best way is to just be blunt. Like, I'm so old and tired now. I just don't have time for the mind games, which
Yeah.
is why I'm usually, if I'm interested in someone, I'm like, hey, I usually just say, I want to get to know you better, right? Because how are you interested in someone after meeting them like once? And then you can see where it goes from there. Even the speed
Right.
dating, I matched with
Yeah.
someone to date, and after the speed dating event, before we had our matches, we all kind of like talked and hung out. And then in talking and hanging out with her, I was like, oh, you know what? Like, I don't know that we would be a good match. And I selected her to date. And then the next day I had found out that she also selected me to date. And so I texted her because I had gotten her number and a bunch of other people's. And I was just like, hey, I saw that we matched on this. You know, we matched as friends and for dating. And like, I just wanted to see if you wanted to like maybe hang out and get to know each other and just see where it lands. Like whether it's friendship or dating, like whatever. And I was like, and we can also hang out in a group or, you know, if that's more comfortable, because we made like a group of friends. And she was like, that would be perfect. Like, she was like, you know, I just don't want to say like yes to dating or
Yeah.
whatever. And the next time I saw her, she was dating someone else. And it was like, cool. I wasn't even upset about it because, you know, I just kind of was like, let's just see where it lands. And then we just never did anything about it. And clearly I forgot about it until she like popped into my life again, or I wasn't interested enough to text her and be like, hey, let's hang out. So sometimes you just got to go with the flow.
Yeah, got to be open to it.
Yeah.
And worst case, you become friends or just never talk again.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it doesn't hurt.
I actually talked about this in therapy the other day
Really?
because my therapist, I was telling my therapist about this whole situation with this girl, and I was like, I don't know if she likes me. And my therapist was like, well, does it matter if she likes you? And I was like, no, you're right. I should stop thinking about it. Because like ultimately, like if she did like me, I don't want to date her. And that's the other thing is sometimes people like you and flirt with you because they're interested in you as a friend. And they're just flirty. Sometimes they want to date you. Sometimes they just want to hook up. So
Sometimes they just want attention and
yes.
want people to like them, even though they probably don't like you. So it all depends, but talking to them would be the best. Like
Yeah.
you said, like just be blunt and honest. And if you have a connection, hey, like I had fun with you tonight.
Yeah.
Like, are you like find out if they're single or
Right.
whatever?
Are you looking to date
Yeah.
someone? Do you like women?
Yeah.
Do you like
the
me?
same interests. Yeah. Like what hobbies and
Are you eating me out as a friend? You know,
yeah, right.
sometimes we have advice, but sometimes we also just don't know the answers. But
And that's okay.
That's
That's life.
yeah, we're all on this journey for the first time together. We're all learning, but
And sharing different experiences could help like others
yeah, and
going
if you
through something similar.
exactly, and if you have an experience you want to share, you can reach out to us on social media on TikTok, Instagram, and Twitter at Tatas and Tea Pod. And if you're listening and you like what you hear, don't forget to subscribe and rate us. We're on Spotify and Apple Podcasts as well as YouTube. We also have an email if you want to write a long email about what you think, or if you have a story you want to hear mentioned on the podcast, or if you want to submit something for us to talk about, advice, it's tatasandteapod@gmail.com.
I think so. It's on our social media.
Yeah.
I know that. And also, if you wanted to be a guest and tell a story, we're always open to that.
Yes.
All right, we'll see you in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Listen up, fans, we're Tatas and Tea, where we turn our traumas into comedy. But we're here for some fun to retell our life tales, from hilarious dates to epic fails. You want some advice, just ask away, but we'll share our opinions either way. No problems too big, no questions too small. With Tatas and Tea, we'll cover